Welcome to our latest Influencers in Hospitality interview, a video Q&A where we ask the influential leaders in our industry to share the strategies and insights that have made them so successful.
Martina, how are you? Great to see you. Welcome to Influencers in Hospitality. But tell me, how are you?
Well, I'm good. Today is the first day snowing in Vienna, as a matter of fact. So as an Austrian, you get very excited when we get ready to ski.
Exactly. And I'm sure you're getting excited to go skiing.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Martina, I want to deep dive straight into questions because I think your experience is very unique. Having seen hospitality through the eyes of an operator, a consultant, from a real estate perspective, and now you currently sit on the management board of UBM Development AG, which has an extensive pipeline of developments across Europe. And given your experience and your time at UBM, what do you think it is that the hotel industry can learn from traditional real estate?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, we've been through quite a development as a company. 2 years ago, or actually almost 3 years ago now, because starting with the Corona crisis, we've been in Europe the biggest hotel developer, having developed over 60 hotels. Out of those 60 hotels, we still have 4 hotels in our portfolio at the moment, and we are running the operation of 17 hotels in Poland, Czech Republic, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands. But what has happened is we have transformed our company. We have transformed our company and we are on the best way to becoming the biggest timber construction developer in Europe. Why did that happen? Because first of all, in the beginning of Corona, we realized the hotels are empty. And we already knew that there's going to be a big challenge on the hotel transaction market, which we are, as a matter of fact, but also due to the interest rates experiencing at the moment. So what we said is we need to sell properties that we develop because that's how we make our living. So we started also focusing on residential and offices. So at the moment, we have 2.2 billion in our pipeline. About half is residential and offices at the moment. And you will not believe it, already 75% or 72% to be exact, is already planned in timber construction. Yeah, so we've really been very quick in adapting that, which we can actually also use then for hotel developments again, once we see that the transaction market is starting. Because what we cannot do is develop properties that we cannot sell once the construction is completed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So as I said, we have 4 standing at the moment, and those will be still need to be sold when the market recovers, which obviously means we do not want to sell below the book value.
I mean, this is astounding, development. But for the audience, and it may seem a naive question, what defines timber construction?
Yeah, well, the whole construction of the building. So there are 2 aspects. Yeah, the first one, we are focusing on ESG. 38% of the emissions of the construction and operation of buildings, 38% of the entire worldwide emissions comes through the construction and the operation of buildings. So we said, here is our biggest trigger. Yeah, when we use a sustainable way to build our real estate, we can participate in reducing carbon construction and therefore make our real estate more interesting for potential investors on the long run. Yeah, which has already proven to be right. Then you have the advantage going with timber is that you can build the real estate in a modular manner, which means you're way quicker because the wooden pieces are pre-constructed or prepared outside in a factory. So whilst it took you months to rise up a construction, it takes you now weeks, to build a real estate or office property. Our timber construction with roughly 14,000 square meter in Frankfurt took us 11 weeks to rise the building. So you're quicker, and in view of the interest rates that we currently have on the market, you save time and therefore you save costs. It's not really cheaper at the moment, but it's more efficient, and we strongly believe that this is the future. It's not going to be.
Go ahead, sorry. So what do you think then the hotel industry can learn from
exactly
this trajectory?
Well, the same thing we will be also able. I think it's even going to be easier in hotels because hotels are more standardized. And I think that's something actually, I think it's a bit opposite. I think at the moment, the real estate sector in terms of residential and offices can learn a lot from hotels because we've been in the hotel industry much more standardized ahead of time already. So it's easier, especially if you have a new build, to construct. It gets way more difficult, obviously, when we look at conversions. At conversions, you need to look at it differently. But at new builds, it's easier. And the other thing that we learned from the hospitality is the storytelling. Because you can't sell an office building anymore with not investing in an interior design aspect in your lobby spaces. If we build timber construction, the customer needs to come inside the building and feel that, understand the story, see the materials. So it needs to be also seen when in operation. And I think actually it's vice versa. So that became much more important.
Wow. Just on because you talked about, the investment split between residential, office and hotel. Are you seeing traditional office demand come back? Let's not talk about, post-pandemic, we're long beyond that, but I'm just intrigued, have you seen the return to the need of the office space?
That's a very difficult question. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but what we believe, we strongly believe in office buildings. We strongly believe that the trend will go again a bit backwards from home office because a lot of companies are now aiming to get their employees back into the office, as a matter of fact, because there is a lot of reasons why this is better for loyalty, success of etc. Besides some positions, obviously, where there's no problem to be in home office. But what they need, therefore, is because a lot of reasons why people want to work home office is because they need different types of spaces. So we need to make sure the offices that we offer, offers various areas, similar to a hotel. You need maybe a bar or, a counter where they can prepare the dishes, like a living room setting where they can have a casual chat, some quiet areas, some meeting rooms. So actually, it goes away from the open office, which was maybe more space efficient, but actually prevented employees to be creative and to allow them to also have some quiet moments. So I think it will just change. We call it new work.
New work.
Okay. So yes, I think offices will be important in the future, but there will be two aspects. First of all, also for the tenants, it needs to be sustainable. So we see that in our products, there's already great interest also from tenants willing to pay a high rent because it is a EU taxonomy building and it follows the the sustainable guidelines also in the execution when it comes to the public areas, and can have the setting that we show them could be implemented to get also your employees back to work. Yeah?
2023 has been a great year for hospitality. You know, we've seen multiple records broken. I think every hotel has, you know, has seen outstanding performance. May not have been quite what, you know, 2019 looked like, but it was close. What are you expecting from 2024, given all the concerns, challenges, you know, interest rates, you know, economic challenges, conflict we have going on there. We have, you know, increased in air travel costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where do you see your concerns, and where do you see the opportunities for 2024?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I agree with you. It's been a good year. I would call it a good year. Okay. Why is this only a good year? Because yes, we had an amazing, in our portfolio, 28% RevPAR growth, yeah, which came out of occupancy, and we really pushed the ADR. Yeah. But with this 28% growth, and due to the missing occupancy points that we still encounter, yeah, on the rate, I think we're all fine, but we're still missing a couple of occupancy points. We are not back to 19 numbers, and also not to profitability numbers. So, but by saying that, 85% of our portfolio outperformed the peers, yeah. So which means great effort done for the team, yeah. But it's still, for us at the moment, not enough. So what is 2024? So the last 2 years, we had the chance to really push our rates. Yeah. So the question is now, with what is going on also in Germany, the recession, the interest rates. Yeah. How will companies react also now to go forward with their meetings? Yeah. So I think, yes, we have budgeted an increase, another 17% RevPAR increase. Yeah. Also having some ramp-up hotels in there, but this will be tough. 2024 will be a real challenge because of what you mentioned. The concerns are the geopolitical crisis, yeah, still high energy costs, and the international market is not coming back yet, in a sense that the Americans, due to the crisis in Israel, are not coming to Europe at the moment. But we are hoping that the Asians will be coming this year, because they had a lot of challenges to set up the systems again, to extend visas. So when you talk to the big companies, they're all expecting a big return of the Asian customer. Yeah, but you know, we still don't really know. So these are the concerns. Challenge will be, if you look at 19, we had an amazing GOP performance, yeah, roughly 42% in our portfolio, which is really great. And with all the rising costs, labor costs, energy costs, which is still very high, it's very hard to get to that, back to that percentage. So we're also missing here a couple of percentage points, and at the same time, our rent is going up. So 2024, I think, will be even more challenging than 23 was. Yeah. But what are the opportunities? So when we said, okay, when it comes to especially energy, what we started in our portfolio, we started to work with professional companies to do energy hedging. Yeah. So there is a great opportunity, maybe not on the long run, but definitely for the next 2 years. Yeah. So really, I can only advise everybody, get somebody on board. Don't start, you know, identifying yourself when to buy, when not to buy, and definitely don't buy at a fixed rate.
Yeah, exactly.
And the second thing is artificial intelligence. Yeah. So another point, what we are working on is really getting artificial intelligence on the BMS systems in our buildings to monitor also energy consumption and to react ahead of time to what outside temperatures, how they will develop. So there is a big saving and opportunity that we see. Then what we did, an opportunity is really make sure you're positioned properly on the market. So also in the last 2 years, what we did, we went through the portfolio, we looked at every hotel and made a clear investment strategy. Yeah. So especially in a market situation as we have now, where we're still missing occupancy, we need to be better than our peers, or make sure that we stay competitive. Yeah. So these I see as our opportunity. Yeah.
I'm fascinated by the opportunities, but there's one, I think, elephant in the room when it comes to challenges that we never spoke about, or I never raised, and you also never raised, but I would like to put that question to you, and that is, recruitment of staff. Where do we find staff in hospitality? Because it's definitely a challenge I see wherever I am traveling. And I'm sure you've seen it with your hotel properties as well, that, and you've also done a lot of work as well and spent a lot of time in hospitality education with Model University, Hospitality University in Vienna. So on the basis of agreeing that this is a very, clear and present challenge, finding staff, what do you think the industry's got to do to inspire the next generation to work in the industry?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. It's actually a shame because the hospitality industry is such a great industry to work in. But I think it's not only the hospitality industry, it's, I think, also the responsibility of Europe as such, to really make this industry, and for sure also other handcraft industries, more interesting again. Yeah, so studying can't be the only solution for our children. Then it definitely, I think companies are challenged, but I believe they're really working on it. Employer branding, to make to communicate outside and inside, make sure you have benefit programs. I think they do a lot, but I think it comes, as I said, to a stage where I think also politics are required to really support various industry. Healthcare, I mean, same issue. Nobody wants to work in healthcare. So I think we need to change something in the mindset of our citizen.
That's going to be a big challenge. It's going to be a big challenge. We also still see a shortage of females occupying particularly the top executive positions in hospitality. You were one of the very few sitting in occupying one of those executive positions. What needs to change? How do we, move into an environment where we're seeing more female executives occupying, the position, particularly within top hotel operating companies and management companies?
Yeah, that's a topic that's very close to my heart, because I know how challenging it is to get there. And I think it really starts with the culture of a company. If the company doesn't really want it, the executive team, then that you can do so many policies and in recruiting or the way to present yourself, but you really need to want it as a company. Very transparent in the execution. And obviously also here, politics. Politicians, are challenged, because childcare is not the same in every European country. If you look in the northern countries, they're much more organized than we are. So there is also a lot of things that need to happen on both sides. But first of all, a company really needs to want it, that it change. So we have set a clear ESG goal that we have 30% of female leadership until 2025. So what you need to do is you need to really put measures. You need to identify potentials within your organization, need to make sure you have a mentoring program that accompanies them and gives them the confidence. Then you need to communicate it inside and outside. So people need to see that females are welcome in your organization, because it's also the perception. If you see photos of, 20 men, you don't feel it's a female, that it's a female organization. I think it's all about the right mix at the end. Yeah. So I think, that pretty much brings it down to your question. So I think it's the company culture that needs to change first.
Clear vision and clear target. Like you would set a target for ESG, you also need it for females or minorities.
Exactly.
As a goal for the company. It makes absolute sense. If you don't have that goal, then where is the plan to make sure that the executive positions are being occupied by specific culture, specific minorities or females. Where do you think the hospitality industry can find additional or hidden value?
I mean, everybody was really working now on the profitability and efficiency. I think we all learned that in the Corona crisis, but we had to manage our costs. But what I think is something that where we see still a potential is, at the moment, we are really evaluating our entire floor plan. Because we all know that in former times, we were very generous with our lobby spaces and some other public areas. So I think there is hidden opportunity, because you need to make sure that every square meter you build generates revenue. So here, for example, we identified a couple of years ago, a partner, which is Wondermart. It's a 24/7 shop, which we implemented now in a lot of public areas. Return of investment between 7 to 11 months. So you get a return really quickly, and you solve a lot of situations because you have 24/7 drinks, snacks available. So you don't need 24/7, kitchen staff anymore. So there's a lot of things. So I think that's its hidden potential. We looked at subletting areas to pop-ups in spaces that we don't use or rarely use. We try to identify, can we build additional meeting areas where we can generate revenue? So it's really about checking how much revenue you make per square meter and how can you bench it within your portfolio and increase that. The other thing I mentioned already was the hedging of the energy costs. I think that's a lot of people have identified that it's a problem, but they haven't really working on it. And as I mentioned, artificial intelligence, to use artificial intelligence, especially when it comes to PMS systems. I think there's also great opportunity for the operators, to really identify. I would even think that they need to get, in that sense, a bit more a proactive role, or should get a more proactive role.
Yeah, I think that the operators are, I don't know if they're considering that they're fighting a losing battle when it comes to the way that the digital world is influencing and domineering, the hotel space. And maybe they need to take that space back, rather than allow digital companies to be influencing their business. I think we've spoken as an industry for a long time how management systems were not talking to one another, booking systems were not talking to one another, understanding what guests want and what they prefer, and how that we have an ecosystem that really enables the guest experience to be tailored. We don't have that still. So there's a lot of work to be done. I totally agree.
And honestly, I cannot believe we're still talking about mobile key.
I know, exactly.
It's like, when are we finally doing it? So I think the operators will be challenged a lot to really first of all, focus on digitalization, as you said, and rethink a bit of their business. Yeah. We are still doing the day-to-day operation as we did it, I don't know how many years ago. We need to get more creative, think out of the box, and change the way we do things. Yeah, drastically.
I agree 100%. Shifting gears somewhat right now and putting the focus not on the industry and where you think we're going and where the opportunities are, but focusing on you and what's made you a success, what's made you an influencer in hospitality. So what is the best piece of advice you ever received, for example?
Actually, not long ago, which is always manage your downside and not your upside. Because the upside you manage anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Do you look at that from a perspective that you wish you'd applied that 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Is that something you look at?
Well, let's put it that way. It's always easier, yeah, to manage something you really do well, yeah, rather than putting your emphasis. I think it just makes it more, when you have a situation, that's something that pops up your mind, yeah, and also for your team, yeah, don't care about that, yeah, that works, skip doing this, focus on this now, because this is more difficult now, we need to get this through. So I think it just makes it more in front of your face. Yeah.
What and who inspires you?
Great leaders. Yeah. One book I really liked was the book of Richard Branson, as a matter of fact. Why? Because he was somebody, and I think that's so crucial nowadays, who really could inspire his team, motivate it, and what is also most important, because he had a lot of ideas, or his team, and he had a failure culture. Yeah. So you need to allow mistakes to happen. Yeah. And I always catch myself, I want to do things always perfect. Yeah. And you cannot fail. You need to succeed. But sometimes you need to fail because you need to learn and you need to move on. And I think that's something I really learned when I was reading his book, and I found it inspired me.
Yeah, I think, I read that book quite a while ago, but I'm very familiar with the stories there, and it is a great book and very inspiring. But your comment regarding failure, and I think that's something that the younger generation today need to understand and embrace, because unfortunately everything that they are exposed to in social media is perfect. It's all about success. That's how you're judged, that's how you're measured. And yet, it's the failures that are the making of us. The failures are the making of our success. And so I totally agree. But it's something in society and social media that needs to be influenced as well. What do you think is true that many people might disagree with?
Well, two things. First of all, emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligence is so important in order to be a successful leader. And I think that is still sometimes lacking if it comes to top management level. And the other thing is diversity. Yeah, I think this is still a big discussion. I mean, if you look at the Fortune 500, not even 5% are females. And it's proven at the meantime is that if you have a great mix of males and females, companies are more successful than the ones that are not diverse. Yeah. And I don't think that people still agree with that. Yeah. And even it now shows in times of crisis, women also are rated, according to those studies, better in leadership skills. Yeah, which I think is obviously there are things men are rated better. Yeah, not to say that females are better than men if it comes to management. It's about the mix. It's about everybody has his qualities. And I think there's still a big disagreement. Otherwise, we would have had that evolution of really having more females in those positions much quicker.
No, I agree. One of my favorite quotes actually is from Margaret Thatcher. I'm sure you're very familiar with it that if you want to ask something, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Something to that. It makes something makes it very relevant, and I would definitely concur with that. What is the most unusual thing that you've had to do to make it work?
Yeah, that's a funny question. You know what pops in my head is when my first job was a butler in New York at the St. Regis. And you wouldn't believe the situations I got myself into and had to solve with the guests. But as I did sign a confidentiality agreement, I cannot tell you. But that pops to my head. I mean, if you start in the industry...
Martina, you built that up so beautifully, and now all of a sudden we're left hanging.
Yeah. I think it's always, I mean, you get yourself into situations. I think you just need to make sure, you handle them professionally, and there's always a solution.
Okay, so you can't tell us the situation, but what was born out of that? What did you learn?
Yeah, it's to really, hold still, think about, what can be done, how can you solve this, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, not to react sometimes immediately, but to give it a thought, ask for advice, and then just make sure you do the right thing. Don't always react immediately. Yeah.
On that note, if the older and wiser Martina, the influencer of today, could pass on a few wise words to your younger butler self in New York at the beginning of your career, what would she say to her?
I think a couple of things maybe I've mentioned. Be more self-confident. Yeah. Then don't make yourself crazy if things don't work out. Yeah. Make a mistake, learn out of it, move on. Yeah. That's the other one. Speak your mind. Yeah. But always in the right tone and at the right moment. And I think what I learned as a leader is make sure your team understands where you want to go. Yeah. Because sometimes if you just go, without looking left and right, you lose them. Make sure you're transparent what the strategy is and where they need to go. Yeah. And make sure you don't lose them along the way. I think that's something I really had to learn along the way.
Martina, this has been an absolute wonderful conversation with you. The conversation's been woven with so much wisdom from your experience that it's been absolute pleasure, very insightful, informative, and I'm sure the viewers are really going to be enjoying listening to your insights. So thank you for joining me on Influencers in Hospitality, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the week and weekend, and we're approaching the festive season, so lots of love and appreciation and thanks to you and your wonderful family.
Thank you very much also for your time and the great questions. Was fun, and also to you, nice festive season.